So now I've got the caliper off the car, the next thing to do before taking the pistons out is to get these old seals out. Now I've got to try and get these out apparently with some little brass rings still intact and undamaged in them. Been doing some reading and they seem to be the most difficult thing about this job, so let's see if I can cut this out. Seems to be coming out pretty easily. That appears, I think that's been glued in there. Because looking inside this ring, there's nothing in there. So I read about this. People who lose or damage these brass rings, which you can't get anymore, which are supposed to sit in there, another technique is to superglue it onto the piston, and I think this is exactly what's happened here. I can see a bit of glue residue here and around the edge of the piston. So I don't need to worry about these brass rings I'd been panicking so much about. I mean, it's apparently the horror job of the whole operation, so I don't need to worry about it. Yep, this is like, they can hear it peeling off. Not so much there. Yeah, that just comes away. And I think that's glue residue. So these have just been glued on. And that's where I think where the brass rings would sit if they were here, but they're not. So these two seals are for the bin. You can see a bit more clearly the gunk and rust inside these pistons, but it all really depends on how damaged or scored the pistons are themselves, and to get them out of the caliper is the next job. So the next part of the operation involves my compressor and airline here, and what I've done is put a metal bar in between the section here, so the piston's going to come out and hit this and not going to fly out, and we'll also be able to see if one is looser than the other. They should both come out at the same time, I hope. It's the first time I've ever done this, so crossing fingers and everything else. And I'm going to put the airline into where the brake hose goes. First going to make sure the bleed screw is tightened, which it is, and the vise is tightened as well. That might be a good idea. I don't need that moving around. Okay. So let's see what happens. Exactly what I didn't want to happen. One has come out and the other hasn't. So actually that goes back in quite easily. Okay, let's give this a go. This one's moving a bit more. I need this one out more. Aha. That seems to have done the trick. This one's out. I know that. this one isn't. So I might have to fiddle this one. Let's get this one back in again. It seems to be quite loose. There it is. Okay. Ah, I've got it. Okay, so good. Okay, let's get this. It's, it's very drippy. There's lots of dripping brake fluid coming out there. Let's clean this up and get this back on the bench and have a look. Okay, here we are back on the bench after removing the pistons, and here they are. Let's give them a little clean up and have a look. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, so there seems to be there is some rust there and some scoring as well. See that? And there's some pitting here as well. Inside, completely rusty. Water must have got in there. I mean, that seal, as you saw, wasn't very effective at keeping out the water, and it's got in here and made things rusty, and I think that's for the bin, really. Gonna get a new one. Let's just have a quick look at the other one. Yeah, again, there's some scoring marks on there. And this one looks to be in better shape. There's no rust pitting, but there's some nasty scratches there. Yeah, I think what we'll do is get a new pair, just to be sure. Yeah, there's some rust up here. There's no point putting those back in. That's really flaky. Rust is going to come out everywhere. So, looking inside the caliper itself, there's some nasty gunk in there. I don't know what that is. It's water and brake fluid, I suppose. Yeah. Yuck. So that needs to be all cleaned out. Look at the other side. Yeah, there's some marks there as well. They need to be cleaned out, and some more of this gunk in there. So next job, I guess, to do is to give these a really good clean, or this a really good clean. Thanks for watching. More soon.